big weekend for both of your teams. Had some athletes down at the Drake Relays in Des Moines and some other competition elsewhere. Can you kind of just give us an overview of the weekend as a whole?
Yeah, we split our squad for the first time this weekend. We sent a group down to Des Moines. They competed at Drake and the Kip Janvrin Open at Simpson College, which is just right outside Des Moines. And that group did a superb job. There was a lot of high-level competition, kind of getting out of the region a little bit, so seeing schools from all over, where they were Division II, Division I, junior college, NAIA, all that type of stuff. And obviously Jacob Jensen, he opened up the Drake Relays for us. He placed sixth, broke our school record, huge PR for him, has him top 5 in the conference right now. So, and it was the first time we had anyone represented on the track side at the Drake Relay. So great start to the day for us there. And then we had Ben Asen and Leif Nelson competed in the javelin throw. Ben was just off the podium in 4th, so I think he showed his kind of like veteran savviness competing in a high-level meet like that to get 4th. It was pretty windy. I know they were throwing into a headwind, and so for him to come away with that result was excellent. Leif struggled a little bit. He's a freshman. Up to this point, I think he's done a phenomenal job. Still ranked first in the conference, but he's done a phenomenal job. But when you step up into that level, it's all about experience, which up to that point he didn't have a whole lot of. And so I think that kind of showed that kind of like that rookie freshman year type of thing showed on his side, but still great for both of them to have that experience. Same with Jacob. Then we sent a crew out to Kip Janvrin, and that was I want to say a mixed bag of results. We had some guys perform really well. Abby McGee got a small PR in the 1500. Tristan Mancias Finnerty, Tito Gonzalez, they ran really well in the 5K out there. And then Caitlin Cornell, she finished up the evening, breaking our school record in the 5Ks. And then Gavin Jorgensen, don't want to forget about him. He ran a phenomenal race in the steeplechase, and a huge PR that has him in good position to score at the conference championship. So overall, good weekend down at the Drake Relays. Saturday the men ran the 4x4 and improved by 2 seconds. So overall, good weekend, for that crew.
What does it say about where the program is going that you had participants at the Drake Relays? You mentioned that it was the first time, being on the track there. And what does it say for the program as a whole that you're kind of growing in that aspect?
Yeah, I think it's huge. I think it just shows that in 3 years, which in some aspects seems like an eternity ago, in some aspects seems like it's flown by, that we're now able to get people into the running events, which are super competitive, super selective. So to be represented on the track side of things, I think it just goes to show where we were 3 years ago to where we are now. So I've been really excited about that trajectory, and our throwers have continued their tradition and their high standards that they've had for themselves. So to continue to get throwers into the Drake Relays has also been awesome as well.
And when it comes to Drake, obviously you mentioned that the competition is a lot different. There's a lot of different levels of schools that athletes come from all over the country and whatnot. What does the preparation for the Drake Relays look like? And then what is the day of? How different is that for an athlete? What do they have to do to adapt for that day compared to a usual meet?
Yeah, I don't think the preparation itself, like in terms of training or the runs that we do or the workouts, changes much. But I think day of, it's just kind of getting them ready mentally, because it's run like a professional track and field meet. When we got there with Jacob and the 4x4 relay, we dropped them off kind of like at the gate and said, hey, you guys have to hang out here till they call you into the pen, and then they escort you out onto the track. So we don't get to like go up to them minutes before their races, or we don't get to talk to them too much. We kind of tell them what we're expecting and, kind of give them some strategy. And after that, they're kind of on their own for anywhere from an hour to 2 hours out from their races. And then, there's a guy that, leads them out onto the track. They can do strides at a certain time, all that kind of stuff. So it's different than every other meet that we go to where we might be able to talk to them up until, a couple seconds before they hit the starting line. And so kind of getting them ready for that and, calming their nerves a little bit, I guess, because it's so different, that level of nervousness, that anxiety can be very high. So, but I thought both groups handled it really well, in terms of stepping up to that level of competition, which up until this point of the year we had not seen.
Had some quite a large amount of good finishes, top 4, top 5 in a couple of areas. One in particular, setting a program record in her first meet since high school, Amber Stavon. What went into her preparation for being a part of it this last week?
Yeah, she just wrapped up basketball and kind of like workouts there. So she joined us about 2 or 3 weeks ago and just kind of got right into it and was doing workouts. She had told us she had done high jump before, and so we were like, hey, that's an event where maybe we can get a few points at conference. Let's try to get you qualified. So I think she only had a handful of practices before getting out there and doing it. So I think it shows her athleticism and, just how talented she really is on the track side of things. And watching her run, track workouts, I've been really impressed to just come straight from basketball to, running 200 repeats or, anything like that. Again, I think it just goes to show how talented she is, and she can have a big impact for us, come conference time.
And looking forward now towards the end of the year, you mentioned a couple athletes this last weekend improved their standing in the conference. Are you as the coaching staff and are the athletes themselves kind of starting to gear up and look towards that peak part of the season?
Yeah, that's definitely beginning to come into our focus. At our staff meeting today, we just talked about that for those that we think are definitely going to go. Now it's all about getting them prepared, getting them ready to compete to their best of their ability at the conference championships. And then we have a handful that are right there, just on the cusp of being in that qualifying window. So for us, it's trying to put those last few touches to get them in a race and get them at a time or a mark where they're going to get into conference. So we're definitely hitting that part of the season where we want to peak, where we're looking to run our fastest times or throw our furthest marks or whatever it may be. And so, this weekend and next weekend, it's all about, hey, if you're not in, let's try to get you in. And if you're already in, hey, we're 100% focused on getting ready for NSICs in Duluth.
Who in particular are you looking at that could benefit from these last 3 or 4 track meets and get into those championships?
I think a lot of our distance runners are. It's such a competitive year, and I was talking with my assistant Ryan Clifford yesterday of what times would have qualified 2 years ago when we had conference in Duluth and what is qualifying right now if conference was this weekend, and it's such a drastic drop in time. So I think our distance runners can benefit a lot these next 2 weeks of trying to get in, sneak into that top 30, get to the conference meet, and obviously on the day anything could happen. So we're looking at Treston, he's in the 5K. Abigail McGee, who's been a multiple-time conference scorer for us, she's sitting just outside the top 30 in the 1500. Alicia Morello, she's in the 30s, not in the top 30. Emily Hansen, if they just run a couple seconds faster, it's crazy the jump that going from mid 30s to almost like the mid to low 20s will get you. And obviously at that point, then we feel pretty good about those people going to the conference championships. For the other people, I think most of our throwers we feel pretty good about that they're in. We have a few women that maybe could improve a little bit. And then on the sprinters, we feel pretty good. Some of our top people like Chase Tandy, Joe Green, we feel like they're in a pretty good spot. We're not overly worried that they're going to get bumped out, but obviously we don't want to let up on the gas at all in any event group. We want to make sure we're going full throttle until we absolutely know that person or a group of people are in.
All right, thanks, Coach.
All right, thank you.